I stood at table 7, balancing a crystal decanter of wine worth more than my monthly rent, when Jonathan Pierce locked eyes with me. The billionaire's laugh cut through the Sterling Club's murmur of clinking glasses and hushed deal-making. I'd served him dozens of times over the past month. Always professional, always invisible. Tonight, that invisibility shattered. "Hey, sweetheart," Pierce called out, loud enough to turn heads at neighboring tables. "Come here a second." Maya Carter set down the decanter with practiced grace, her heart already racing. She knew that tone, that particular brand of condescension wealthy men wielded like a weapon. 3 years scrubbing dishes and serving drinks had taught her to recognize every variation of disrespect. "Yes, sir. How can I help you?" Pierce leaned back in his chair, gesturing to his companions with theatrical flair. Richard Cole, senior partner at Blackstone Advisory, smirked into his whiskey. Jennifer Hastings, the hedge fund manager who'd made Forbes under 40, raised a perfectly sculpted eyebrow. Marcus Chen, the youngest at the table, looked uncomfortable. "We're having a debate here about investment strategy," Pierce said, swirling his glass. "And I thought, who better to settle it than someone with a fresh perspective? Someone unburdened by Wall Street groupthink." His smile sharpened. "So tell me, if you had $10 million to invest right now, what would you do with it?" The table erupted in laughter. Cole slapped the mahogany surface, his Rolex catching the light. "Oh, this is going to be good. Let me guess, lottery tickets? Maybe a shopping spree?" Maya felt the familiar burn of humiliation crawl up her spine, but her face remained perfectly composed. She'd felt this before, in a different life, when federal agents had dragged her from Silverstone and Associates while her colleagues whispered and stared. She'd survived that. She could survive this. "Are you genuinely asking, Mr. Pierce? Or is this entertainment for your guests?" Pierce's eyes glittered. "Oh, I'm very serious. Enlighten us." Maya set down her serving tray. When she spoke, her voice carried the crisp precision of someone who'd once commanded boardrooms. "I'd construct a multi-strategy arbitrage position. 40% in convertible bond arbitrage, specifically targeting pre-announcement volatility windows in the technology and biotech sectors where implied volatility consistently underprices event risk. I'd focus on names like Novogen Therapeutics, currently trading at a 23% conversion premium with Phase 3 data due in 45 days. The risk-adjusted return, assuming a delta-hedged position with gamma scalping, projects a Sharpe ratio of 2.1. The laughter died. Marcus Chen's mouth fell open. Jennifer Hastings set down her wine glass slowly. Maya continued, her words flowing like water through a broken dam. 30% in statistical arbitrage using mean reversion algorithms on sector-neutral equity pairs. I target the current dislocation between Verizon and AT&T. Their correlation coefficient has dropped to 0.67 from a historical average of 0.89. The spread is 2.3 standard deviations wide, suggesting mean reversion within 15 trading days with 92% historical probability. 20% in merger arbitrage, specifically the Titan Industries acquisition, but I'd hedge antitrust risk through put options on both the acquirer and target, structured as a collar to cap downside at 4% while maintaining 70% of upside participation. And finally, 10% in tail risk protection through out-of-the-money VIX call spreads, specifically the 35-45 strike combination expiring in 90 days. Current implied volatility of 12.8 is historically suppressed, and the position costs only 40 basis points for asymmetric protection. She paused, watching Pierce's face drain of color. The aggregate portfolio would target a 15% annual return with a maximum drawdown of 8% and a correlation to the S&P 500 of 0.3. Would you like me to explain the Greek ratios and rebalancing protocols? Or shall I get back to refilling your water? The silence stretched like taffy. Richard Cole stared at her as if she'd just spoken in ancient Sumerian. Jennifer Hastings picked up her phone, likely Googling the securities Maya had mentioned. Marcus Chun whispered to himself, That's exactly what Renaissance technologies would do." Jonathan Pierce's face hardened into a mask of controlled fury. His carefully constructed image, his authority, his superiority had just been demolished by a woman he'd meant to humiliate. Maya watched the calculation flicker behind his eyes. She'd made an enemy tonight, but she'd already had enemies. What was one more? Thank you for your input, Pierce managed, his voice strangled. That will be all. Maya picked up her tray and walked away, her hands steady even as adrenaline flooded her system. She didn't look back, but she felt his stare burning into her spine. In the kitchen, Carlos Rodriguez, her fellow server and unexpected ally, grabbed her arm. Girl, what just happened out there? Pierce looks like he's about to explode. I just made a very powerful man look very stupid, Maya said quietly. And he's going to try to destroy me for it. Can he? Maya thought of her apartment wall, covered in photographs and documents. Sticky notes connecting Pierce's trades to whispered conversations she'd overheard at this very restaurant. She thought of the evidence she'd been gathering for 2 months, the pattern of insider trading so blatant it would make the SEC weep. He can try, she said, but I've been destroyed before. I know how to rebuild. That night, in her cramped studio apartment in Queens, Maya added a new note to her investigation wall. Pierce Capital Management had made 7 major trades in the past 60 days, each one perfectly timed to precede major corporate announcements. The Blackwell merger, the Meridian acquisition, the Synthex pharmaceutical approval. Each time, Pierce's fund had positioned itself within 48 hours of public disclosure, reaping profits that defied statistical probability. She'd noticed it accidentally at first. A conversation about Blackwell between Pierce and Cole, Tuesday night at Table 7. The next day, SEC filings showed Pierce Capital had purchased $12 million in Blackwell stock. 2 days later, the merger was announced. Blackwell's stock jumped 37%. Pierce had made $40 million. Her phone buzzed. A text from Sarah Bennett, the SEC investigator who'd reluctantly cleared Maya 3 years ago, when the insider trading charges against her had collapsed for lack of evidence. Sarah had always believed Maya was innocent, set up by someone who'd needed a scapegoat. They'd stayed in contact, 2 women trying to survive in a system designed to chew them up. I got your package, Sarah's text read. This is big. Can you get more? Maya looked at her wall, at the web of connections she'd painstakingly constructed. Pierce to Cole to Senator Patricia Monroe, who served on the banking committee and dined at the Sterling Club every Thursday. Pierce to Jennifer Hastings, whose fund had mirrored his trades with suspicious precision. Pierce to Marcus Chen, who looked increasingly uncomfortable at these dinners, whose eyes sometimes met Maya's with something that looked like guilt. I can get more, Maya texted back. He thinks I'm nobody. That's my advantage. The next morning, Jonathan Pierce sat in his corner office overlooking Central Park and made a call. Thomas, it's me. That waitress from last night. I need everything on her. Background, employment history, associates, financial records. Everything. Thomas Wright, head of security for Pierce Capital, was efficient and discreet. Within 6 hours, he delivered a dossier that made Pierce's blood run cold. Maya Carter, 32. Former senior quantitative analyst at Silverstone and Associates. Worked there for 5 years, promoted twice, reputation for brilliant market analysis. Then 3 years ago, she was accused of insider trading in the Omnitech merger. Federal investigation, her face all over the news. Charges were dropped for insufficient evidence, but her career was obliterated. No firm would touch her. She's been working service jobs ever since. Pierce stared at Maya's photograph, at those intelligent eyes that had seen right through him. She's a traitor. A real one. Was a traitor, Wright corrected. Now she's serving drinks and clearing tables. But boss, here's the thing. I can't find evidence she actually committed the crime. The investigation fell apart because there was no smoking gun. Some people think she was framed. I don't care if she was framed, Pierce snapped. I care that she humiliated me in front of my clients. I care that she's too smart for her own good. Watch her. I want to know everywhere she goes, everyone she talks to. But Pierce had made a crucial error. He'd assumed Maya's fall from grace had broken her spirit. He'd assumed she was just surviving, day to day, dream to dream. He'd never considered that she might be hunting. Over the next 3 weeks, Maya worked her shifts with renewed purpose. Carlos, who'd grown fond of her quiet determination, made sure she got assigned to Table 7 every Tuesday and Thursday. She overheard Pierce discussing the Titan Industries acquisition, the $800 million deal that would make Pierce Capital the dominant player in defense contracting. The board votes Monday, Pierce told Cole, his voice low but not low enough. Monroe's made sure the regulatory review is expedited. We'll announce Tuesday morning. Stock jumps 40% minimum. We're positioned with 80 million in calls. Maya's hand trembled slightly as she poured wine, but neither man noticed. They never noticed. To them, she was furniture, part of the ambience, no more threatening than the crystal chandelier overhead. She photographed documents left carelessly on tables, corporate memos and trade confirmations that Pierce and his associates discussed openly, never imagining the quiet woman refilling their water glasses was documenting every word. She recorded conversations on her phone, tucked in her apron pocket, the audio quality poor but sufficient. And slowly, methodically, she built her case. Trade patterns that matched insider information with 97% correlation. Phone records, obtained through her former colleague at Silverstone who owed her a favor, showing calls between Pierce and board members at Titan Industries. Bank transfers from Pierce's personal accounts to shell companies linked to Senator Monroe. If viewers are enjoying this story of justice and vindication, please hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss what happens next when Maya finally confronts the man who thought she was beneath him. Sarah Bennett reviewed the evidence in her office, her expression grim. This is enough for warrants. More than enough. Pierce has been running an insider trading operation for at least 2 years, maybe longer. But Maya, are you sure you want to be the face of this? After what happened to you, the media scrutiny alone could be crushing. Maya sat across from Sarah, wearing jeans and a sweater, looking nothing like the polished analyst she'd once been. But her eyes held steel. I've been crushed before. I survived. And this time, I'm not the one who did anything wrong. This time, I have proof. He's going to come after you hard. Character assassination, lawsuits, everything in his playbook. Let him try, Maya said quietly. I have nothing left to lose, and he has everything. That makes me dangerous. The investor meeting at the Essex Hotel was Pierce's coronation. 200 investors, financial journalists from Bloomberg and the Wall Street Journal, cameras live streaming to thousands of viewers. Pierce Capital was announcing the Titan Industries acquisition, the deal that would cement Jonathan Pierce's legacy as a visionary dealmaker. Pierce stood at the podium in a $5,000 suit, his silver hair perfect, his smile confident. Today marks a watershed moment for Pierce Capital Management. The acquisition of Titan Industries represents not just a financial opportunity, but a validation of our investment philosophy. Strategic positioning, rigorous analysis, and the courage to act when others hesitate. In the back of the ballroom, Maya Carter entered through the side door. She wore a navy suit she'd kept from her Silverstone days, tailored and professional. Her natural hair was styled elegantly. She looked like exactly what she was. A financial professional who'd been sidelined by circumstance and prejudice, now reclaiming her power. Carlos walked beside her, moral support and witness. Sarah Bennett followed with 2 SEC agents, their badges concealed but their presence purposeful. Maya walked down the center aisle, her heels clicking on marble. Heads turned. Pierce, mid-sentence, looked up and froze. The color drained from his face as he recognized her. "Security," he called out, his voice cracking slightly. "Remove this woman immediately." "Mr. Pierce," Maya said, her voice carrying clearly through the ballroom. "I have a question about your investment strategy. You asked me for advice 3 weeks ago at the Sterling Club. Remember? You wanted to know how I'd invest $10 million. The room erupted in confused murmurs. Cameras swiveled toward Maya. Pierce gripped the podium. "I don't know who this woman is, but she's clearly disturbed." "Security," he called out, his voice cracking slightly. "Remove this woman immediately." "Mr. Pierce," Maya said, her voice carrying clearly through the ballroom. "I have a question about your investment strategy. You asked me for advice 3 weeks ago at the Sterling Club. Remember? You wanted to know how I'd invest $10 million. The room erupted in confused murmurs. Cameras swiveled toward Maya. Pierce gripped the podium. I don't know who this woman is, but she's clearly disturbed. Security. I'm Maya Carter, she continued, walking closer to the stage. Former senior quantitative analyst at Silverstone and Associates. You thought I was just a waitress. You thought I was nobody. But I've been watching you, Mr. Pierce. Listening to you. Documenting every careless word you spoke over your expensive dinners. Sarah Bennett stepped forward, her badge now visible. Mr. Pierce, I'm Special Agent Sarah Bennett with the Securities and Exchange Commission. I suggest you let Ms. Carter finish. The ballroom fell silent. Maya climbed the steps to the stage, her laptop in hand. She connected it to the presentation system, and the large screen behind Pierce flickered to life. Let me show everyone your real investment strategy, Maya said. The first slide displayed a timeline. Pierce's trades on the left, major corporate announcements on the right. The correlation was damning. September 14th, Pierce Capital purchases $12 million in Blackwell Corporation stock. September 16th, Blackwell announces a merger. Your profit, $40 million. October 3rd, you purchase $17 million in Meridian Pharmaceuticals. October 5th, FDA approval announcement. Your profit, $32 million. October 22nd, you purchase $23 million in Synthex Biotech. October 24th, breakthrough drug trial results announced. Your profit, $56 million. She advanced the slides. The probability of this performance through legitimate analysis is 0.003%. You'd have better odds of winning the lottery. Twice. Pierce tried to speak, but his voice failed. Richard Cole, sitting in the front row, had turned pale. Jennifer Hastings was edging toward the exit. Maya played an audio clip, enhanced and time-stamped. Pierce's voice filled the ballroom. The Titan board votes Monday. Monroe's made sure the regulatory review is expedited. We're positioned with 80 million in calls. Another slide. Phone records showing 37 calls between Pierce and Senator Monroe over 6 months. Bank transfers totaling $800,000 from Pierce's accounts to shell companies Monroe controlled. You've been paying a United States senator for insider information, Maya said. Her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her. You've been trading on material non-public information for at least 2 years, and you've made over $200 million doing it. Pierce finally found his voice, desperate and venomous. This is slander, fabricated evidence from a disgraced analyst with a grudge. She was accused of the same crimes. She's projecting her own guilt. I was accused, Maya said quietly. Never charged, never convicted. Because I didn't do it. Someone framed me and I never found out who. But I learned something from that experience, Mr. Pierce. I learned how to recognize real criminals. Sarah Bennett stepped onto the stage. Jonathan Pierce, you're under arrest for securities fraud, insider trading, wire fraud, and conspiracy to commit securities fraud. You have the right to remain silent. The ballroom exploded. Journalists surged forward, cameras flashing. Investors shouted questions. SEC agents moved in, and Jonathan Pierce, billionaire, master of the universe, was led from the stage in handcuffs, his empire crumbling in real time. Richard Cole was arrested 20 minutes later in the hotel parking garage. Jennifer Hastings turned herself in the next morning. Senator Patricia Monroe resigned within 48 hours, facing her own federal investigation. The media frenzy was extraordinary. Maya's story, the wrongfully accused analyst who became a waitress and brought down a billionaire through intelligence and perseverance, captured public imagination. Cable news ran segments. The New York Times wrote a profile. Social media erupted with support. But Maya avoided most of the attention. She spent the weeks after Pierce's arrest in meetings with federal prosecutors, providing testimony, explaining her evidence. She worked with Sarah Bennett to ensure the case was airtight. And slowly, quietly, she began rebuilding the career that had been stolen from her. 3 months later, Maya stood in her new office at Hamilton Trust, a boutique investment firm that specialized in ethical investing and fraud detection. Her title was Chief Risk Officer and Fraud Detection Consultant. Her salary was 3 times what she'd made at Silverstone. But more importantly, she had purpose. Her phone rang constantly now. Firms wanted her expertise, her story, her insight into detecting corruption. She'd become the woman who'd toppled a billionaire with nothing but intelligence and courage. Carlos sent her a photo from the Sterling Club. The servers had unionized after Maya's story broke, demanding better wages and treatment. They'd won. Maya smiled, remembering those endless shifts, the exhaustion, the humiliation. It had all led here. She looked out her window at the Manhattan skyline, the city that had broken her and rebuilt her. Jonathan Pierce was awaiting trial in federal custody. His company dissolved, his fortune seized. The man who'd mocked her as entertainment for his friends now faced 12 years in prison. Maya thought about that night at table 7, the moment she'd decided to stop being invisible. She thought about every person who'd underestimated her, dismissed her, tried to break her. They'd all been wrong. Her assistant knocked. "Ms. Carter, the Times is here for your interview about the Carter Institute for Financial Ethics." Maya straightened her jacket. The institute was her vision, a nonprofit dedicated to training investigators to detect fraud and supporting professionals wrongfully accused of financial crimes. She'd use her settlement from Pierce's company to fund it. $10 million that would change countless lives. "Send them in," Maya said. As the journalist entered, Maya reflected on the strange journey that had led her from boardrooms to serving trays and back again. She'd learned that power wasn't about position or wealth. It was about resilience, intelligence, and the courage to stand up when everyone expected you to stay down. Jonathan Pierce had asked her what she'd do with $10 million. She'd told him about investment strategies. But the real answer was simpler. She'd invested in justice, in truth, in the idea that no one, no matter how powerful, was above accountability. And that investment had paid dividends beyond anything Wall Street could measure. If Maya's story of resilience and justice inspired you, please like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear that intelligence and integrity always triumph over arrogance and corruption. Subscribe to our channel for more stories that prove the underestimated can change the world. And comment below. Have you ever been underestimated? How did you prove them wrong? Your story matters, and we'd love to hear it. Remember, true power isn't about how much money you have or how many people fear you. It's about having the courage to stand for what's right, even when the whole world thinks you're nobody. Maya Carter was never nobody. She was just waiting for her moment. And when it came, she was ready.